There was more to the stream, guys, or not the stream, the song, but I just kind of cut it off. So, hi guys, how are you all doing? We're gonna talk a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Gonna talk the Hedge Knight. I kind of wanted to do my review of the book, or not the book, the first novella. I'm actually through this both the first and the second novella. I was thinking about doing a video reviewing each of the novellas, but just kind of based off of like how the poll did. There wasn't much interest for me reviewing the books as a video, and usually retrospective videos don't do that well. So I thought maybe we'll just make a stream out of it. We'll combine some topics. A lot of this year is going to be focused on Night of the Seven Kingdoms as we get close to it, as the show, will be coming out. It got pushed back. I saw on the Discord, some people were confused about it. It was supposed to come out, I believe, at the beginning around May. In May and in the early summer. Now that seems to be pushed back more towards like the fall or late summer. So we'll have to see when that comes out. But we're going to talk about specifically the first novella because it is very important to the show. The show is going to have 6 episodes, and from what I could tell, we don't know the runtime for the episodes. I did see that there seems like there's either speculation or it was confirmed that the first episode is going to be about an hour long for the premiere, which to me is kind of worrying. I haven't really gotten into the nitty gritty of looking through what we've seen so far of Night of the Seven Kingdoms, kind of preparing for that for this month, especially next month. Have a lot of like stuff I want to talk about it with other people. I know me and Ricky on our first stream on his channel for the monthly streams are going to be talking about it. I know me and JC will definitely be talking about it in February and stuff. So, yeah, but hi, Dakota. How are you? Hi, Matthew. And yes, a lot of people really love the first novella, and I would say even just the Night of the Seven Kingdoms as a whole. It is really well written. It's not the longest amount of content, right? When you really think about the first novella specifically, it's only 100. It's like 118 pages. But the version I have, right, you have so many pictures in it that when you actually probably crop it down, it's only about 70, 80 pages. It's very short for each of the novellas. But what we get in there is just fantastic. Hi, Ghost. How are you? Hi, JC. How the hell did I get that right? I don't know. I was kind of just, usually what I do when I go for stream intro songs is I just go to a playlist that somebody already has for or for theme songs. And I just pick one that I like, and I just picked that one. I hadn't heard of the Incredibles theme in a while, so I was like, it'd be a good one to open stream with. It's definitely the Night of the Seven Kingdoms is a book I have read the least of. I would say all of the books outside of the World of Ice and Fire. That one's not one I think you really need to read more than maybe once. But Night of the Seven Kingdoms of like Fire and Blood in the main series is the one I've read the least. I've only read it physically, I think twice, and I listened to it once on Audible with Harry Lloyd doing it, which is fantastic. So yeah. JC says down in the comments, I saw this, I want to address this first, but I believe it's 6 episodes, all the usual 40 to 50 minute length. Yeah, see, and that's something I want to talk about. I have recorded a video for next week that I am a bit worried about that runtime, because something that really stuck out to me when I was rereading the first novella is that I really think that it would have worked better as a movie, an hour and a half movie. Because again, like I talked about, for source material, there is only like really 70 or 80 pages. It's not a very long story whatsoever. I read it in the span of 3 nights, and I was reading maybe anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes before going to bed, to help me try and get in that sleep mood. It's really helped me. Reading before going to bed has really helped me sleep. I'm somebody that usually takes a long time to be able to fall asleep. It's helped me out a lot. And so I'm worried, if all the episodes are 40 to 50 minutes, how do we see that? Now, there is a lot of things you can do, right? So Night of the Seven Kingdoms is told through Dunk's perspective. So we could get, whenever Egg is off screen, we could get his perspectives, whether, other characters are off screen. And I will say, this is a spoiler warning. In parts of this stream, I do want to talk about in-depth stuff that happens in the first novella specifically. So, if you don't want to be spoiled for the show, if you don't want to be spoiled for reading it, and I'd highly recommend reading it if you haven't already, may not be the stream for you. That is your warning. I probably should put this in the title that there's spoilers, at some point. So I'll try to make sure whenever I'm going to spoil things specifically, I say it. But, that is your warning for it. But I'll be interested to see, how, the show does it. And especially coming off House of the Dragon season 2, where, a lot of that trust that I had for HBO and their ability to make these Song of Ice and Fire shows is kind of been diminished. I worry about how they're going to fill that time. How that other time, what things will they create for characters like Baelor and Maekar and some of the other major characters of the show. Also, we do love you, JC. I know Dakota's giving you love in chat and all that, but yeah. I heard that one of the showrunners of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms unfortunately passed away. I did not hear that. I am unfortunate if that did happen. RIP to whoever that was. I am going to go through some of the producers, who's directing the episodes. We're going to go through that in here as well. Answer our question. Who knew about Cersei and Jaime at court? I believe people had suspicions, but I think the only people that truly knew for a certainty were probably people like Varys, Littlefinger, Renly, probably Stannis, and like Jon Arryn. Like that's about it. On terms of people that really knew, and I really know. I know that's a bit contentious, or what's the words I'm looking for? Contentious that Renly knew. I just believe that Renly is clever enough to figure that out. I don't know, just based on the way his actions are and how he was trying to displace Cersei and have Marjorie be queen. I think that he had his suspicions and probably knew as well. Hi, Vlad. How are you? Oh my God, JC. I love Frey women, and Robb Stark had it coming. Wow. Interesting comments. I haven't even reread any of the books yet. Hey, if you want to do something that's very quick, Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, very quick novellas. I've already gone through the first and the second novella within the span of like a week. So, yeah, really excited for the third novella as well. I will say the second novella, it was great to reread it because it's the one I remember the least. It is my least favorite of the three, even though I think it's still really beautiful and beautifully written and all of that. It is, like, of the three, my least favorite, but it was great to go back and reread some things that maybe I've forgotten there, but, yeah. Hi, Radical, how are you? Hi, Agor. The Sworn Sword is criminally underrated. I do think it's underrated in the community. I don't think it's my personal favorite, but I do think it is solid. Dakota, you're always rushing Ashley to be in the chat. She takes her time, She makes her appearance, usually about 20 minutes in the stream. Should be 20 to 25 minutes long episodes for 6 episodes. That's what I agree with, Vlad. Like, I think, if we're getting 40 to 50-minute episodes over the span of 6 episodes, that's just going to be really tough. And I start to think about, like, how do you structure the episodes in a way that is satisfying, right? We're like, they're probably going to try to follow how Game of Thrones did it, where season 1 had always left on these cliffhangers each episode. And the way that the first novella is structured, your first big cliffhanger, or big moment doesn't really happen until, a good portion of the way into that novella. I won't specifically say, just for people that don't want spoilers at this point, but you guys know what I'm talking about. The big moment of the first novella when things get going. So yeah, I wonder, like, how, I'm just gonna say spoiler warning right here. I'm just gonna not talk around it. If you don't want spoiled, be wary. That's all I'll say. But the big moment of the first novella where things start to, move in, get more tense, and the story starts really getting going is, the Aryan situation with Dunk and Dunk getting arrested. The question is, like, how long are they going to save that for? Like, for me, if the episodes are 40 to 50 minutes long, that has to happen probably at the end of episode 2. Like, I don't see any situation where, we're into episode 3 and, that still hasn't happened. If it happens in episode 1, that'll be crazy. But, okay, then maybe episode 3, you have some sort of episode where it's, Dunk's in prison, but you're seeing more of other perspectives, like what's going on at the tournament that Dunk's kind of overhearing but can't see. Maybe the internal, like, conflicts going on with the Targaryens and all of that. Like, that's where I really struggle with the show, and it worries me quite a lot, given that some of the producers, some of the people involved with the Knight of the Seven Kingdoms were involved with House of the Dragon Season 2. So, yeah, I'd be interested to see if you guys also have those kind of worries. Did you hear the tragedy of Summerhall? I did, unfortunately. It was a tragedy. Um, Let me go back up. So, do you have concerns that Dunk and Egg will be ruined as a show in terms of ending with season 3? I don't. I think that I am worried about Dunk and Egg in terms of how many episodes they want. I almost feel like A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the first season, and the seasons going forward don't need 6 episodes unless they're shorter. If they're going to be longer, like House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, I almost think it should be even less than 6 episodes. But we'll just have to see how they do it. I mean, I'm even more worried about the second novella in terms of if they try to keep up doing 40 to 50 minutes, because the second novella has even less perspective or less perspectives that you can go to. But yeah, I'm still, I would say, cautiously optimistic maybe about, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, but we'll have to see. Could we see the tragedy of Summerhall in the show, Grease? If we do, it would be the very end of the show, and it'll depend how far they want to go. Do they want to go past the third novella, making their own stories that maybe that George has some influence in, and maybe we eventually get there? I definitely think that could be a possibility. It's the natural endpoint for this story, I think, but who knows? The whole romance part is a bit too much between Dunk and the Weber lady, but yeah, I agree, Matthew. See, I don't mind that at all. I think that the second novella, where it kind of gets caught up in, is it's very much a reflection. It's a number of things. Well, one of the things is it's a kind of a reflection, a novella. Like, it comes after the first novella. It's a lot of Dunk thinking about his actions or what things occurred in the first novella and how it's impacted him as a person. It's a lot of reflection and learning about the first Blackfire Rebellion, how that influences people, and how the world is being impacted by this drought that's going on. So it's a lot. It's not as, like, in my opinion, it's not as paced as well as the first novella or the third novella, but it still has a lot of great concepts and things that are really interesting for you to think about. One of my favorites is when Dunk or is talking to Egg, and again, this is spoilers for the second novella, but they're talking about, what do you do with a person that is a traitor? So what do you do with the people that are Blackfire supporters? And I even made a video out of this, I think either last year or the year before, about the different philosophies, where Baelor says, you should bring these people right, treat them well, bring them back up, and Bloodraven's kind of the opposite. You should punish them and all these things, not allow that traitor to then rise up again and betray you. And so I really like that aspect of the chapter and that focus. Like, once the second novella gets going, it really gets going. It's just a lot of build up to that moment that lacks a lot of the significance of, say, the first or the third. The second one is really the definition of a more personal focus narrative on the characters that are involved in the second novella. All of your streams are the stream for me, even the topics I don't care about at all, like football. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Football is not going well. I think I'm going to make some changes to the league next year, because I didn't get impacted by this last year, but man, being on the other end of it kind of sucks. Like, my whole football team is basically, or my whole fantasy team really is either locked into playoffs and not playing starters, so half my team is players I didn't even start all year. So, but Matthew was going to win anyway. It didn't really matter, so it didn't influence this championship at all, but it's, it's something that I can see in the future being an issue, so I got to change some settings. But yeah, getting back on topic. Hi, David. How are you? There once was a man named Dunk, whose member was thick as a trunk. When he turned left, it resulted in his death. What? When he killed 5 men with his chop. Maz, that might be a top 5 comment of all time. I don't know, Dakota. Another streamer said the amount of episodes that a show gets shouldn't be a concern as long as it's as much as the show needs. I mean, that's a great sentiment and all, but you can tell House of the Dragon needed more episodes. It was a worry that we should have been concerned about before the season came out, that it really just kind of got swept under the rug because of how good I think a lot of us viewed season 1. I think a show, needs the episodes it needs, but it's just so often that isn't the case, right? House of the Dragon season 1 should have had 12 episodes. It had 10. So HBO right now has not really cracked the formula for especially a Song of Ice and Fire projects in terms of episode like length or how many episodes there are. Um, how would you rank the novellas, Grease? 1-3-2, 3-1-2. I am a strong 1-3-2. I think that the first novella is the best paced. It is just, in my opinion, the first novella is perfect. I have nothing to complain about with the first novella. And I really don't have much to say and complain about all three of the novellas. The only thing I say about them and why I don't like them more than things like Clash of Kings, for instance, is because they are so short, right? Like Clash of Kings is a book I cannot read in, like a week. It would take me a lot longer than that. There's just much more there, and just how well A Song of Ice and Fire books are written. It's that quantity and the quality of those books are already so high that even though A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms' quality is also super high and up there, even maybe in terms of one-to-one writing, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is better. It's just that you have a lot more. So I really love the first novella. The first novella kind of brought me into really wanting to read A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, or I guess listen to it, because I listened to it on my first read with Harry Lloyd's beautiful voice, and he narrates it so well. But I love the traditional fantasy sense that you get. It's this big tournament, and Dunk's trying to make a name for himself, and it has this classic fantasy story to it. And then it has that George R. R. Martin spice to it. It just, I won't say too much, because I don't want to really spoil a bunch of things for people. I've tried to avoid saying major things that are massive spoilers. But I just think the way he twists that and makes it his own, I think he does just a fantastic job of that. And the third novella, without saying too much, I love the big idea of that. The whole Blackfire theme of really the second and the third novella. And the third novella, I just think that the stakes are higher and a bit more intense, and the pacing's better than the second novella, but I still love the second novella as well. My one concern with Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is that HBO will run into a Game of Thrones situation if it surpasses the source material. Radical, I'm not as worried as Game of Thrones, because Game of Thrones, there's so many different plot lines going on, all these different things. It's much harder to track everything and make it all then combine into an 8-season show. Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is in a lot of ways like Mandalorian, the first season of Mandalorian, where you can almost just make up journeys that these characters go on, or you can take things that George maybe gives them and you can go all these different ways with it. So I'm not nearly as worried about if they surpass the show or the book stuff. I just think that as long as they make interesting stories with the characters, that they'll be fine. Go to those places that George wanted to go to, but he hasn't gone there yet. Go to the north and go to that situation. Maybe go to the Westerlands, or wherever you want to do with it. Go to the Vale. There's plenty of things that they can make up for the character of Dunk and Egg, because we haven't gotten a lot of their stories. We know parts of their stories quite well, but a lot of the others we don't know. They could add in new content into A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms in order to have 60 minutes. And see, this is what worries me though, Radical, because given the quality that we just got in House of the Dragon Season 2, it's worrying for them to start making content surrounding these characters when you've already lost that trust. And so that's why I'm a bit concerned. I am a bit concerned when we get to this point where, how do we fill out the episodes? How do we fill in the gaps? Yes, some things are natural to pad out the running time. They could do flashbacks of, Arlen and Dunk. They could do stuff like that. They could switch to other perspectives like Egg, maybe the Fossaways. Maybe they go to Baelor and Maekar, Aryan stuff. The first novella is much more open to be able to pad out the running time. I'm just worried about what they're going to put in those things, because it's not directly there from the novellas. So they're going to have to make up dialogue. They're going to have to make up character motivations. They're going to have to do all these different things that were never in the novella, that were off the page. That's kind of some of the things I'm a bit worried about. Oh boy, Aerion Brightflame did nothing wrong and is probably the most underrated and overhated Targaryen with Viserys III. Viserys, I can see your logic, but Aerion, that's a tough one, Vlad. That's a tough one. And crazy, I gotta wait 3 seasons to see my favorite Dunk and Egg book adapted. Man, I swear that book gave me a murder mystery vibe. Yes, that's another part of it. You know, mystery vibes. It kind of gives you almost like or not season one, but it gives you like book one vibes where it's like this overarching mystery that has to be solved. Yeah, it'll be great if we do get to it. Hopefully, all the seasons prior to season 3 are good, so that we're all excited to see it. Possibly Radical. Maynard Plum is great. There's a lot of great characters in the Dunk and Egg books or novellas. I feel like HBO will fight for 60-minute episodes since that's what they do mostly, but it just doesn't work. I mean, 300 minutes. Did you think about that? Or no, sorry, 360 minutes, if I did my math correct. Yeah. So that is just crazy to think about. Did you think about a movie that rivals, like think about the show's runtime, the first novella rivaling the screen time of like the Fellowship of the Ring? That makes no sense. Just no that. So like, I'm interested to see what the runtimes are going to be. They cannot be 60 minutes. All of them cannot be 60 minutes long. It just can't. The story. I'll go into the story hoping that they can fill that time out well and make it make sense why they're so long. But man, I mean, that's just going to feel like you're really making a lot of stuff up. You're getting away from what the novella was. If we don't get the tragedy of Summerhall, how would you want the series to end if season 3 or 4 is the last one? I would just kind of want it to be almost the way that the second novella kind of ends, right? Where it's, what's the next adventure? You know, what are they going to do? Or maybe they even, fast forward and we see Aegon the Fifth, becoming king. Maybe they do like a flash forward type thing. But, yeah. Also, I want to show you guys this because my friend Nick got me this, and I think it's sick. Hopefully, I don't drop this. But it's like a little, container. It's got a little goblin thing, very brand fitting. Man, I wish I would have come up with that idea. That would have been some good merch. But shout out to my friend Nick, who got me that little bottle. But yeah. I also do not think John the Fiddler would have been a good king. No, I don't think so. Novella 3 could definitely be like a 6 or 7 since there's a lot that they could do once they get there. I think Novella 1 and 3 are the ones that are going to be the easier ones to adapt for a series. I think the second one, I'm going to be very interested to see how they do it. I do think, and this is something I do expect, I do think we'll get some flashbacks to the first Blackfire Rebellion. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I think for the second novella, it would be great if they did that. And we better get some Blackfire merch. It's not going to happen in season 1, I don't think. But in season 2 of Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the Blackfire merch better be coming. That's all I got to say. All the Simps are excited to see Rohan or Weber. I am as well. JC, I'm right there with you. Hey. She was in need of a husband, JC. We missed our shot. That's all I'm saying. They better do this Osprey justice, I swear. They better. Yes, Arian does do some kind of fucked shit. He will in season 1. Be interesting to see. The actor playing Arian's got to step into some big shoes. Some big shoes. Very Joffrey level shoes. House the Dragon needed better episodes, not more. That's also true. That's also true, Dakota. I got lucky by having the Bengals, and they'll be playing hard again this week. Wasn't even intending to go hard with a Bengals stack. Me and Eric kind of have ran the table. Yeah, like I told you, like I sent you before the playoffs started. Me and your teams were the only teams that had a chance. Like once things got going, like I also thought my dad's team, his team was doing really well because I was kind of coaching his team. But I kind of regret it because I gave him Jonnu Smith because I had Kittle, and I could have used Jonnu Smith as a flex. Time has passed. It's fine. Novella 2 is my least favorite. It felt random in terms of plot to me personally. Like, I think the plot makes sense of Novella 2. I just think that it takes a very long time for it to get going and start to get good. Like, Novella 2 to me is very slow until you get to when you get to meet Rohan. Like I hope that's how you say your name. I feel like it's not, but you know. But you guys can read? Yes, we can. You should be very jealous. Um could each novella stand on its own Grease as an anthology series? Yes, I definitely think so. I don't think like you don't need to read the first novella to be able to read the second novella. But yeah, like I think so. Agreed. Raymond Fossaway, he's a Chad. I've also been doing I've been like writing down notes because I want to make a video of my own like theory about Dunk and if he was knighted. I've been like writing down little notes for each page when I think there's something important or valuable to it. I'm excited for that as well. I'm basically prepping for when I do Fire and Blood. When I read Fire and Blood, we're going to be doing massive Maester conspiracy stuff. Yeah. Is Dunk taller than the mountain? I don't remember exactly how tall the mountain is. I know Dunk is like right at 7 feet, if I remember that correctly. Let's see. How tall is the mountain in A Song of Ice and Fire? Stay on here. So he's well over 7 feet tall, closer to 8. So yeah, I think Gregor is significantly taller than Dunk. Random common grease, but I heard a hot take that the ending of the Harry Potter series with the 19 years later epilogue shouldn't have happened. It's tough. Like I see the point of that. Like I see the, you don't need to really go 19 years into the future. But at the same time, I do think it's nice. I don't have a strong opinion on that, Radical. Like I don't mind the ending of Harry Potter whatsoever in the epilogue, but I can definitely see why people wouldn't like it much. As long as they're faithful to the books, I don't think season 2 will live up to the hype of season 1. They might need to change up some stuff to make it more interesting. I unfortunately also think that's the case. I do think like I would really still like season 2 if they were very faithful to the books, but I think that they'll probably end up changing some stuff, which is, I'm not as upset because I think season 2, the novella, the second one, has some stuff that you can make it better. Watch the producers make Raymond a bad guy as they glorify Stefan Fossaway just to piss readers off. If they did that, okay. So you know what? I want to talk about something. So before I continue answering questions, I know I'm super far behind in chat right now, but I did want to go over some things here. So we do know the directors. I do not know either of these directors. I haven't seen any of their work, but we know that Sarah Adina Smith, who is known for her work on Lessons in Chemistry and Hannah, will helm 3 of the 6 episodes as a director, whereas Owen Harris, who has worked on dystopian Netflix series Black Mirror, will also direct 3 episodes and executive produce the series. I haven't heard of either of these people. I haven't heard or seen anything about those shows, so if you guys have, tell me how good or bad they are. I don't know anything about that. Well, they'll also have in the series Martin as a writer and executive producer alongside it. Again, we've seen how that's gone in the past. Who knows how much power Martin has over that. But also, there's also going to be people like Ryan Condal, Ira Parker, Vince Gerardis, and Sarah Bradshaw, who will also be joining the team. So again, there are people that are very involved with House of the Dragon Season 2 that are going to be producing this season, which kind of worries me a little. But yeah, there's been some people that have been named to the main cast as well. I'll kind of let you guys look that up for yourself if you're interested. I don't really know any of the people that are in this show, but I don't know a lot of actors, so that's not exactly surprising to me. But yeah. We'll get a Dream of Spring before Ashley shows up. That means, unfortunately, Ashley's never shown up then, almost. The first novella should be 4 30-minute. I agree, Radical. I agree. That's where I think it should be. I think anywhere in that like hour and a half to like 2 hour range is where we should be at, probably. Not at, you know, what, 6 hour show. Like, that's insane. That just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. Hey, you never know, JC. You never know what these producers might do. You have at least have, yes, I have Aquafina waters in here. So, you know, I'm not sponsored by Aquafina whatsoever, but Aquafina is the best water that I have tried. Let me specify that I have tried. But yeah, I'll play devil's advocate for longer episodes. We could get more time with Daron, Amakar, and Baylor, Brightflame as well. I think we are going to, but how do you fill so much more time? Like, I don't think you understand, Matthew, like how much time that they're gonna have to add to those characters. So my thing is, right, we're basically saying that the writers have to make these characters, interesting, right? Great dialogue, all those type of things. No, I do not have merch, Dakota, but that what I showed you would be great for merch. Um, no visions or any of that stuff till season 3. Ghost, see, what I would like would be flashbacks. I don't want visions and prophecy stuff like you're talking about, but I would like, flashbacks to maybe Dunk and Arlen in their earlier days or the first Blackfire Rebellion and all that. Also, hi, PK. How are you? Um, I wipe it off personally, Dakota. I know this is a very random question, but I wipe it off, and I don't do that. So I want, yeah, I know you want a merch so bad for the Blackfire Zagor. I'm pretty sure Dunk was not knighted when I listened to the audiobook. I remember there was a reason, but I've forgotten it. So there's a lot of times where Dunk, whenever it's mentioned about him being knighted or how he was knighted, he gets very red in the face, and he is someone that he thinks about things very differently than if he was a knight. Like, for instance, after Arlen dies, he thinks about what he's going to do next. And he kind of thinks about, oh, I could be another squire to another hedge knight, or I could go somewhere else. Whereas if he was already knighted, why would he go be a squire? Now, the counter argument to that is, I'll play devil's advocate, even though I believe that he wasn't knighted, is that, he just recently got knighted, so maybe he's not thinking about it like that, right? He hasn't processed it all. But yeah, so it's just, there's a lot of things. There's more examples than that per se. Another one is like when he is supposed to knight Raymond Fossway because he needs somebody else to fight with him. He gets very like defensive and he seems almost guilty about something. Like he shouldn't be the person to knight Raymond Fossway. And so Lord Baratheon does it instead, the Laughing Storm. So yeah, there's just a lot of suspicious things that whenever it's brought up about him being knighted, it just is not natural the way like that he talks about it or reacts to it. It just seems like he's hiding something. He even says something to Egg like this. He had the feeling of, because again, this is a big reveal. So, if you don't want spoilers, don't continue. But that he knows what it's like to lie for something you want so bad. And that's just a very interesting line given he just got knighted. And that's all that Dunk wants to be a good knight. It would also go into some really good themes like being named a knight is not what knight is, right? It's not what's the main part of being a knight, it's how you act. It would have a really good theme with that. Is there a way to apply for a HBO Song of Ice and Fire writing team? You could probably try. You could take it up with HBO. Maybe Ricky can hook you up with some contacts, but you better have a really good resume. Did you watch the Hunger Game movies? Yes. I was of the age that when the Hunger Game books were coming out, I read all of them like as they were coming out. Like that's one of the like earliest series I remember reading as they came out. Like the ones that I remember were like the Percy Jackson books and then the Hunger Games books. I was of an age for both of those. No, Pedro Pascal is way too old to play Dunk Radical. Dunk in the books is like probably anywhere from like 16 to 20, depending on what novella you're reading. Um, that's another thing, Matthew. Like with the question about the mountain, Dunk could always grow. Like he could always get taller. He's still like is still young enough to be able to grow in stature. Agreed, JC. George R. R. Martin being executive producer is just a paper title. Agreed. It's there to please fans. Yeah, if there's anything about the White Walkers or any type of vision stuff like that, especially in the first novella, there is maybe room for it with the character of Bloodraven in the third novella. Um, but in the first novella, there should be no hint of any of those type of things. There should be no Targaryen prophecy thing, none of that. I'm very happy that Matthew is giving a good review of the Maekar actor because Maekar is my favorite character during this time, so I'll be really excited to see how they do that character. Why can't they give the show to a different team with different writers? So the one reason I think Ryan Condal's very heavily involved in it is because of the success of season 1 of House of the Dragon. And also, it is known that in the early phases of them trying to make the next Song of Ice and Fire show, like after Game of Thrones ended, he wanted, he was somebody that was pushing for a Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the Dunk and Egg stuff. So yeah. See, Dakota, I think it'd be a great idea, but I'd have to make it like my own style. I'd have to put like my own logo and stuff on it and change the art style so I don't get copyrighted. But I do think like, if this channel grows big enough, it would be a great idea for merch. Except for okay, this is one thing I don't like. It's one of those lids that like you can't like there's no like opening at the top, so you have to fully open the lid and drink it like this. That's the only difference we're gonna make. The lid is not very good. Do you think HBO would make a good Robert's Rebellion show? I don't think so, just based upon the stuff is it's here's what I'll say. It's a lot of stuff we just don't have dialogue for. We don't know the events fully. They'd have to make up a lot of stuff, and my faith in HBO has just not really been there after season 2. When do you go live usually? So I go live usually at 6 p.m. U.S. Central Time on Monday and Friday. It was a bit different in December because I was uploading every day, so it was just kind of when I got the chance to. But it should go back to Monday and Friday at 6 p.m. U.S. Central Time. I think we'll still be good for Monday. I got to remember when I'm getting out of class because I have like a lab thing on Wednesdays, but I think on Monday I'll be like free by the time I get back from school. But I am going back to school on the 13th. I still have next week off. Grease takes. I would never go to Old Town to learn things, JC. They cover up things. They kill all the dragons. It works better if Dunk isn't knighted. I think that will come to light around the time of him naming or his naming as Lord Commander. Yeah, I do. I think it adds more to the character. There's a new Hunger Games book coming out. I did not know that. That's pretty cool. Why isn't it letting me scroll down? Not letting me scroll down. Oh, okay, here we go. Also, Dakota Ashley's here. I heard that the Harry Potter series will premiere in like 3 years, 2027 or 2028. Yeah, hopefully that's good. I agree, Ghost. This is my exact sentiment of why I think it's a good idea that Dunk is not a knight. Reading the Hunger Games as they came out explains a lot. What are you trying to say there, Dakota? Um, Ghost, who may come to light, may come to light. I don't know. Also, hi Ashley, how are you? Night of the Seven Kingdoms definitely won't get the views and attention that House of the Dragon season one got. Much less a season of Game of Thrones. I mean, I agree. The problem, and this is something, the reason that A Night of the Seven Kingdoms was not the first project that came out after Game of Thrones is because it doesn't have the pull of Game of Thrones. It doesn't have the name recognition of Game of Thrones. Like House of the Dragon is very similar to Game of Thrones in terms of the beginning structure. You have a succession crisis between two different factions. This leads to a war. It has all the same beats: politics, Targaryen family, the dragons, all that stuff. Night of the Seven Kingdoms doesn't have that. Yes, it has the Targaryens, but this is the time after the dragons. You're following a character that is unknown completely to a casual audience, people that have only watched like the show, for instance. It just doesn't have the pull or the scale. So it probably won't do as well as, say, House of the Dragon, even like season 3 and 4, I would assume. And so it comes at a really weird time because House of the Dragon season 2 did not help it, right? You know, I think even people that really like the show still, season 2 was disappointing. And even the talk about House of the Dragon has kind of died off, and we're only a couple of months removed from the show. I mean, I should say, we're about a good 5 or 6 months removed from the show, but it just doesn't feel like how House of the Dragon House of the Dragon season 1 was. Like, people were talking about it all the way up until season 2. Like, so I don't know. I think that HBO probably got to temper their expectations for the show, but I still think it'll do pretty well. I feel that Ryan Connell doesn't understand the lore. He definitely doesn't understand Fire and Blood. Not even close. I don't know about the rest of the lore because we haven't seen that much, but he does not understand Fire and Blood at all. Radical enjoy school on Monday. Hopefully everything goes well. That'll be cool, Radical. Yeah, dragons are definitely a big selling point of the show. I am also supposed to get snow here, Dakota. I don't know what day we're getting snow. I just know that we're supposed to get it at some point. I wonder how much the Blackfires we talked about in season 1. Maybe they could do a little setup, and Egg could dismiss them as traitors, but Lord Ozzy are hyping up the Blackfires like crazy. Egg, I don't think we're going to get a lot of Blackfire stuff in season 1. It's just not a main focus of the first novella, or I think the first season either. I do think they will allude to it, and it definitely will get more time than the novella did, just based on the runtime. It makes sense to introduce it, but I don't think we'll get a lot of it in season 1. Oh, here we go again. Crockpot cooking. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Ashley just came into the chat, and she's already trying to give me crap. House of the Dragon season 2 ended 5 months ago tomorrow. Yeah. So it's been like, it hasn't been that long, and I feel like House of the Dragon has not really carried the same weight that season 1 did. I'm jealous you have another week off, Grease. Yeah, it is nice. Imagine if the first spinoff was Nymeria. Yeah, if it was Nymeria, that show would have gotten cooked. Like, it wouldn't got any viewership. I still don't even think that show would do well now. So, I don't know. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on the first novella? Now that I've kind of caught up with chat, let me kind of run through the first novella, my thoughts about the first novella, what I liked about it. Like I talked about at the beginning of the stream. The first novella, in my opinion, is paced extremely well. Introducing us into these characters of Dunk, Egg, Daeron, Aerion, the other Targaryens, while also, some of the smaller characters, the people that don't have as big of a role in the story or just are your normal people. It takes a perfect blend of A Song of Ice and Fire, where we go to a character that is now, just a hedge knight, very recently made hedge knight trying to make his way in this world, make a living. And you mix that with the politics of Game of Thrones, all the other books in Song of Ice and Fire, and you take this traditional story and you flip it on its head, right? I think that the first novella does a really good job in that. But yeah. Will they dare try and do their own version of Dunk and Egg in Dorne? They could definitely do so. I think it'd be interesting because we haven't really been there all that much. They could definitely do that in between season 1 and 2 if they wanted to. Again, we do know that Dunk and Egg do go to Dorne after the first novella, so definitely could be something that they do. I think a good thing to do would be maybe allude to the Blackfires, maybe introduce John the Fiddler in the second season, so the payoff could be better in the third season. Yeah, definitely could be interesting. Yeah, Igor, I think it might. The show, I think, will, if it does the show correctly, it will be a much better for like the hardcore fan base than the casual fan base. I agree, Maz. I just think the first novella, to me, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It just stays long enough where everything is interesting in it, nothing drags on. I now believe any Song of Ice and Fire content on HBO Max will be at the level of a Disney movie, all inclusive. House of the Dragon season 2 legit was a Disney production. I wouldn't go that far. I think season 2 of House of the Dragon was better than most things Disney's put out, whether that be Star Wars, Marvel, their main like IPs. I think HBO, I think House of the Dragon, mainly because of the first half of the season. Season 2 is better than that, but I do think that a lot of my trust in how HBO as a whole has kind of declined. If they put the White Walkers or Prophecy into Dunk and Egg, I will scream. Yes, I agree. No actual wars may bother a casual audience as well. Agreed. I think that, if casuals give the show a chance, I think they'll like it. I just don't think that casuals will see the trailers for Dunk and Egg or will see what the general plot of it is and like it. How many times have you read the novellas? I have only read them. So I've theoretically been through the story 3 times. I have listened to it through the Audible app, through the audio book of the first two. Well, what am I saying? First 3 novellas, and then I've read it 2 times, like physically. I've in total kind of read it 3 times, I guess you would say. But yeah, it is of all the Song of Ice and Fire books my least read one. Ashley is right. Dakota, you're being kind of hypocritical right now. I'm just saying. Dunk and Egg has the most heart of all the stories, in my opinion, thanks mostly to Dunk being a lovable goof. It is true. It is true. But yeah, guys, I think that's where I'm going to end the stream. I kind of got through everything I wanted to talk about. We're talking about the first novella in the show. We'll be talking about it more throughout the year. But I hope you guys all enjoy the stream, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.